Well, thanks everyone for joining today. I really appreciate taking the time out to come and listen to our session on digitalize your business. My name is Ronan Doyle. I've been working with Amazon Web Services now for just over 3 years in our small to medium-sized business team across the UK. Also, in my kind of outside of my day role, I deliver culture of innovation sessions with some of our customers, or sharing kind of best practice around how Amazon innovates. And the real purpose of today is just to give you an insight into essentially starting from scratch around, who we are as a business, and how we're touching all parts of the UK economy, supporting both startups, SMBs, and some larger enterprises as well, and really just share some stories from what we're doing with customers, and finishing off then with a Q&A where we can hopefully answer some of the questions you may have as well. So for those of you who are not familiar with AWS, we are the world's largest cloud computing platform. So for those of you who are relatively new to cloud, I certainly didn't know what it was before I joined. But the cloud, essentially the cloud computing is a term which describes, it's almost like a electricity company. So the way I always explain it to people who are new is the same. It works the same way as an electricity company. So when you turn on the power in your home, you get a bill and you pay for what you use. So it's essentially we do the undifferentiated heavy lifting of managing things like data centers and servers, so that customers can acquire IT resource on an as-needed basis, such as compute, storage, etc. But why is this really important, and why is this driving growth, not just in the UK, but across many customers internationally? Well, the reason why cloud computing is driving this growth with AWS is, number one, the cost structure has changed for technology. Traditionally, you would have had to, if you wanted to expand into new markets or you wanted to build up an IT capability, you really had to invest heavily in IT infrastructure. Whereas now you can move to a more pay-as-you-go model, acquiring IT in a matter of seconds through an online platform. And this allows companies to really grow rapidly in terms of elasticity and agility. And what we mean by that is it allows companies to simply spin up IT resources for what they actually need, and then they can scale up seamlessly up and down, and they only pay for what they use. Another areas is kind of it's leveraging AWS's network. So AWS was really founded out of Amazon.com, from building that highly scalable website. We took our core competencies from that, and we actually transferred it and offered it to some of our customers as well. And then finally, around global reach, you can literally go global in minutes now by leveraging the AWS backbone. And you don't have to worry about the undifferentiated heavy lifting of managing the data centers. You can just focus on what's important to your business. So we understand that, there's plenty of technology companies in the market today, and plenty doing cloud. Cloud is a very topical area right now. But why do customers choose AWS, and what sets us apart? Well, one of the reasons is around our security. So one of the benefits of the AWS Cloud is when you decide to put your data with AWS and leverage AWS, you inherit all the best practice around security that we have built up over the over 11 years that we've been in operation since 2006. And you inherit those best practices and certification that we have as well. Another thing that customers tell us they love about AWS is our pace of innovation. So since our launch in 2006, we continually listen to customers and release new products and services at a rapid pace. So we've gone from a couple of hundred products and features to now we offer over 2,000 products and features to customers across a number of different areas, including AI and machine learning. And customers love that. And 90% is based on customer feedback, and the other 10% is what we interpret customers to want. Another thing is experience. So we have a term we say internally that there's no compression algorithm for experience. And again, we've been founded. We were the pioneers of cloud. We created the cloud infrastructure in 2006, and we have over 1 million monthly active customers on AWS right now as well. So we bring that experience to our customer engagements. Another area is our global footprint. So I'm going to go into this a little bit later on, but we've got a huge reach. We've got a reach all over the globe, from the United States, the UK, to Asia as well, to allow you to expand into new markets. And then in my day role, I deal a lot with startups and SMBs, and really one of the critical areas that helps them grow is our ecosystem. So outside of AWS, we've got our AWS partners, which can really help customers accelerate their cloud journey if they don't have the skills in house as well. And then for those of you who are familiar with Gartner, Gartner is a large consultancy third party, and every year they release a Magic Quadrant. And for 10 years in a row, AWS has ranked #1 in the infrastructure as a service sector as well. So one of the things I touched on there was operational reliability. And what we mean by that is, customers trust us with their mission critical workloads. They're really mission critical things when it comes to whether that's ERP or HR or their sensitive data. They're trusting AWS. And we have a goal to make our operational performance indistinguishable from perfect. So we're constantly trying to remove all causes of failure. We're very transparent with our operations and our SLAs, as you can see it on the screen there, and we design our architecture with disaster in mind. So what we mean by that is we're always planning for something. If something goes wrong, we have the architecture in place through our regions and availability zones to ensure that customers can get access to their data and they have high availability. And this is what customers are telling us really matters to them. And we publish this on our help dashboard to customers. So it's fully transparent. We give 24/7 access in real time to all the SLAs of our services. So we carried out a report a couple of months ago, which was focused mostly on small businesses in the UK. It was called the AWS Impact Report. So we teamed up with the Times, and we teamed up with the University in Nottingham to produce a report to really just showcase the impact that AWS is having on the UK economy. And one of the stats was 85% of small businesses using AWS say that the cloud has made it easier for them to flex their IT to meet their business needs and reduce their costs. So really what customers are telling us in small businesses is that they essentially have access to the same IT resource as some of the big players. So that means they can get to market quicker. They can, reduce their costs by only paying for what they use, and they can scale up and down rapidly, which is allowing them to innovate and build products quicker as well. Also, one of the insights that came from the report was around unicorns. So a unicorn is essentially a startup which is valued at $1 billion. And 16 out of the 17 unicorns in the UK use AWS, which is combined is 20 billion in total use who use AWS. One example I've just called out is Monzo. Again, many of you are probably familiar with this. You use it every day for your current account or for transferring money. I certainly do. And one of the quotes from Monzo was, by using AWS, we can run a bank with more than 4 million customers with just 8 people on our infrastructure and reliability team. So this really showcases kind of how you can get more out of your resources with the cloud, and how they can scale rapidly to meet that level of customer demand. Really showcases that. I've just put this slide in really just to understand some of the customers that featured in the report as well, and some of the referenceable customers we have. And it just really showcases the broad array of industries that AWS touches in the UK. Whether it's a startup, whether it's retail, whether it's oil, or the likes of F1 and Trainline. These are companies that use AWS. But what I wanted to call out was, these are the customers that we can use to reference, but we also have thousands of small businesses using AWS as well underneath this. And one of the standout figures out of the report was that AWS contributes £8.7 billion in value to the UK economy, which equates to over 0.4% of GDP in the UK. And that's actually more than the Premier League and the music industry. So really, really insightful impact that we got from that report. So when we talk to customers, what we try to do is truly understand their business goals. And before we do that, before we understand that, we really need to know this so that we can work backwards from their needs. And there's a couple of areas where the cloud is really helping to accelerate businesses, particularly small businesses, whether that's creating new revenue streams, where they can spin up IT resources to build things like mobile applications, or we know in the time of COVID, there's many small businesses who are now trying to create a website or scale their website with demand as things change. So we're helping customers do that as well. And then, we're also helping them to improve their operational and financial efficiency. So as I touched on at the start of the presentation, we like to say that we can do the undifferentiated heavy lifting. So essentially, instead of getting your team to focus on mundane tasks that don't really add any value to the business, you're allowing AWS to do a lot of that underlying heavy lifting so that you can focus your resources on things that actually drive business value. And then lower business risk. So one of the great things about the cloud is the risk of failure is quite low. Or not, the risk of failure can be equally high, but the cost of failure is lower. So one of the quotes, and I don't know it exactly, but it was by our CEO, Andrew Jassy. He said, the great thing about the cloud is that you can experiment without having to live with the financial collateral damage of failure, which I thought was really interesting. And it just really means, you can spin up a resource for a couple of dollars on AWS, and if it works and your concept works, you can start to scale it. And if it doesn't work, you could just cut it off. So that's why we've seen the growth of many of these startups over the last number of years, such as Deliveroo and Monzo and many companies that are starting to scale rapidly, and it really is because of this. So again, just touching on how AWS can help you reach your business goals. I've tried to segment it down into kind of 6 core areas, which we're going to dive a little bit into each of them. But the first area is, a lot of companies, whether they're enterprise or typically it tends to be enterprise and SMBs, they have legacy and they have old systems that they currently use, and they want to get more out of their data. And the first step is really around migration. And we see a number of reasons why companies would migrate to the cloud, whether that's with the larger enterprise around data center consolidation. So they want to remove the reliance on, managing their own data centers, and they want to offset that to AWS so that they can focus their resources on kind of building more areas that can contribute to business value. Or else it's, going global. So, leveraging the cloud, leveraging the AWS backbone to get into new markets. So I've worked with customers in the past who, they're UK based, but actually many of their customers are in the US. And there's a real need there to increase that customer experience by giving them the best experience there, and also getting access to that market so they can simply turn on their resources within a US region to do so. Another area, and the number one reason why customers move to the cloud, is for the increased speed and agility. So, not only allowing your teams to move quicker, but allowing you to essentially react to market changes quicker and release products quicker. That is the number one reason. And then again, touching a little bit on security as well. So, like I said before, when you migrate to AWS, you inherit all the best practice, all the certifications around SOC 1 and 2 and 3 that we have as well. And that's really something that's important to particularly customers in the banking sector, whether they have FCA requirements, or customers in the retail sector where they're dealing with PII data. This is really driving the transformation there as well. But we're living in a world where, you know, customers really need to change, you know, how they operate as a business, and digitalize, and digital transformation is certainly one of the hot topics for moving to the cloud. And of course, cost reduction as well. You know, the whole inherent value that comes with just paying for what you use. You move from a capital expense, where traditionally companies had to buy hardware. That's now gone. You can now move to an operational expense where you're literally just paying for virtual services as you need it. So that's driving movement to the cloud. And although cost, it starts off with being the first talking point of a customer, but actually, as they migrate, they start to see all these other benefits as well, outside of cost. So, you know, just an example I've used there is staff productivity. If you look at Sage, they were able to save over 500 hours per year of server configuration time, just by moving to the cloud and moving their staff onto different projects, because we were able to do that heavy lifting. And then also, with regards to operational resilience, so something that's really important to customers these days is ensuring that they have uptime, especially when they start to scale, and having a disaster recovery strategy in place. So many customers use the cloud and our infrastructure to create disaster recovery strategies to allow them to fail over instantly if a problem does occur. And then also, again, touch on it again, the number one reason is business agility, being able to deploy quicker and faster. And just an example there of Intuit, you know, they're able to build outs and deployments happen 5 times faster than when they were not on AWS. So they're doing things a hell of a lot quicker and releasing things quicker, and speed matters, and that's what our customers tell us. So then just again, I've touched on it already, but you know, being able to leverage the backbone of AWS in terms of their security posture can be very important. And we have partners as well and solutions that we can engage to help customers secure their data. And I know I touched on it before, but this is how our global infrastructure looks. So we have a concept of a region and an availability zone. So customers always ask me, who are new to cloud, they say, Ronan, what's a region? What's an availability zone? Well, a region is essentially a geographical area. Let's take London, for example. So we would have a region in London, and then within London, you would have an availability zone. And an availability zone is a collection of 2 or more data centers within an availability zone. So it's built with redundancy in mind. And essentially, these are data centers that are spread out from each other, and they're fault tolerant. So if one goes down, the data is safe in the other one, and so on. So we've got 22 regions across the world, and we have 69 availability zones, and we've got 3 coming soon in Cape Town, Milan, and Jakarta. And then we also have kind of an extension of that, which, you know, I'm not going to go into detail on it today, but it's really around our edge locations. And essentially why that's important to customers is it allows them to reduce latency to their international customers. So let's say we're dealing with a customer who has a global footprint. You know, they want to ensure the customer experience is the same in every single part of their business. And these points of presence allow them to do that. And one of the questions I always get asked by people who are new to the cloud and businesses that are new to the cloud is, you know, who owns the data? Well, first of all, customers own the data. They are in full control of their data. But we have a shared responsibility model. And essentially what that is that we, as AWS, are responsible for security of the cloud, which means that we protect all the underlying infrastructure, such as the data centers, the storage hardware, and everything like that. And then the customer is responsible for security in the cloud. So things like encryption and areas like that. So we provide all the tooling on our website, all the documentation. We have partners and we have software vendors that we can help you secure within the cloud, but that's how security works in AWS. And then application modernization. You know, this is something that we are seeing a trend towards. So customers don't only just want to move to the cloud, they want to reap the full benefit of the cloud. And one of the ways to do this is actually architecting in a modern fashion. So some of the kind of trends we see around modernization, how they build. So instead of traditionally you would have big clunky IT systems, we had them ourselves at Amazon.com until we moved away to more microservices. So what we mean by this is you essentially break down your infrastructure into smaller parts so that you can make changes rapidly or you can release quicker as well. And then also building in the element of automation into the architecture so that you're not wasting any of your people time on updates. You're essentially building in automation into some of the softwares you use, and using some of the managed services that we have as well to just maximize efficiencies. Then also around kind of programmatic guardrails. So for certain companies, whether that's in financial services or retail, sometimes it's really important that they're compliant. So they start building that into their architecture to ensure they're not vulnerable or susceptible to fines or anything like that. And then just data management. So not all data is equal. So some data might be hot in that you're using all the time, or it might be data that customers is accessing for recommendations and stuff like that. And then you might have other data which actually is cold data and you just need to keep for compliance reasons. And then you can start to manage that in the right way and reap all the cost rewards of doing so. So I've kind of put this slide in just to kind of showcase the old world and the new world. So traditionally, with a monolith, you had kind of big clunky systems that were slow, that were rigid. And, if you wanted to create a new product, you had to, procure IT infrastructure, hardware. And that would normally take months to do. And also it involved a large upfront investment. So you had to make a significant risk bet on if you wanted to expand out your IT capability. If we flip the lid to today, the innovation cycles have changed. You can go from months of procurement to literally hours via the AWS console to download your resources. And the investment is a lot lower. So it's more smaller and it's incremental. So going back to that point earlier on where, you can simply test out an idea. And if it works, you just throw more budget and resource at it to scale it. And if it doesn't work, there's very little risk. You can just put it off as well. So that's just there to showcase how things have changed. And we love customer examples at AWS. I've tried to see if we've got some ones that are applicable to the British economy as well. I'm sure we're not all traveling at the moment, but certainly when we are traveling, Trainline and their app actually is extremely useful. And AWS enables them to push out over 300 updates a week to their customers. So really helping us with our traveling journeys. Also Deliveroo as well, something that I'm a big fan of myself. They run their infrastructure on AWS and it really allows them to scale up and down with demand. So, if they've got a peak on a Friday night when everyone's getting takeaway, they can scale up their infrastructure. And then on a Sunday morning when no one's purchasing anything, well, some people they can scale down the resource as well as they're only paying for what they use. Again, hugely valuable. But there's even more benefits to the cloud. So once you're on the cloud, something that customers always tell me, and it doesn't matter whether they're a small business, whether they're an enterprise or a startup, customers are constantly wanting more from their data. They want insights so that they can make better business decisions, so they can understand their customer more. And that's really something that's really, really topical at the moment. And we call it data lake. And essentially what a data lake is, it's an ingestion of data from a number of different sources, whether that's mobile data, whether that's website data, or whether it's data from POS. Essentially, customers want to create it into a single flow and they want to run analytics on it. And AWS is helping customers do so in a secure manner. They're helping them do it at scale. And also AWS is an open platform, so it can integrate with other softwares and systems that customers use as well. And again, it's cost effective. And that's why it doesn't matter what size of company you are. You can do it at the scale that you're at, which is really driving this trend with customers so that they can get more from their data. Just an example, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but Channel 4 also uses AWS to do so. So they're ingesting data from their website, from different parts of their business, and essentially they want to make better recommendations around shows to their customers. They want to be able to schedule more relevant content, and they're using some of our tools that we have, such as Amazon EMR, to help them do so and analyze the quantities of data that they have in an automated fashion. So they're really getting value out of AWS as well. This case study is on our website as well. If you just type in Channel 4 AWS, you should be able to find it there. But, you know, we also use it in the other parts of our business. AWS is a separate business within Amazon. But one of the other talks I do talks about how Amazon is leveraging things like machine learning and doing it at scale. And we like to share this kind of knowledge and experience that we have with our customers. Just a couple of stats for any people who are buying on Amazon at the moment. I'm certainly doing a lot of shopping on Amazon at the moment, but 4,000 products per minute sold on Amazon.com. 1.6 million packages every single day. And then we're also using machine learning and AI to power some of our drone delivery services and our Alexa services as well. So, outside of the technology part of AWS, we also like to share how we can organize for speed and agility from a people point of view. And as I mentioned before, I present on culture of innovation, and the 4 areas that we touch on with Amazon's culture of innovation is around mechanisms. So when someone internally has an idea, how do you actually bring that idea to fruition? We have a distinct working backwards process that we use that puts innovation in the hands of every single employee that we have. We also touch on architecture. So this is kind of more around the AWS piece, around how we can help builders go and build. And then culture as well. So, our leadership principles, how we embed values in our employees to actually go and build and innovate. And then one of the areas that I'm going to touch on today is around how do you organize a team internally to leverage the cloud in the best possible way. And one of the ways we do this is from a concept that we have called 2 pizza team. And what the 2 pizza team is essentially, we believe that your team should be small enough that it could feed the whole team with 2 large American style pizzas. And the value of this is you create these small decentralized teams that are nimble and that can take ownership of different parts of the business to actually do things quicker and be more autonomous as well. So as we scale a concept in Amazon, we don't throw people at it. We break the teams down into smaller 2 pizza teams to own different components. And it's really something that resonates with customers when they talk about kind of agility and when they're building for innovation. That's one of the mechanisms that we use as well. But a really, really topical area as well that we've got, not just globally, but particularly in the UK, and it's something that's really important, not just at kind of technology level, but government level, is around skills and experience. And, the typical question I get asked by customers is, we want to move to the cloud, we want to innovate, we want to do all this great stuff, but we haven't got the skills. We haven't got the skills in house, and we want to do so. Or else they might tell me that we've got 20 IT staff who are skilled in a particular legacy software we've used, but how do we upskill them? And we've got plenty of options there, and we're helping customers in a number of ways. But first, typically the things that we get told is, customer wants to accelerate their business transformation initiatives. They want to operate in the cloud, but again, lack the skills. Another area which is really important, particularly in banking and financial services, is around we want to move to cloud, but we need to ensure that we're compliant with our regulations. And then also, how do they build something more sustainable? So if we don't want to just train up 1 or 2 people, we want to create a cloud center of excellence where we can train up our whole organization and create something that's long term. And then we want to innovate quickly. And we carried out some research around the benefits of AWS training and certification. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail around some of the options we have from a training point of view. But first of all, the value of training and investing in that, it can be seen in some of the results that we're seeing. So we carried out a recent research with ESG. 91% say of customers surveyed said that having AWS certified staff has helped them innovate with AWS services. It's also 89% said that their cloud has accelerated their cloud completion of their projects. And a really key thing for business and people who are not necessarily in the IT side of the business, this is something that stands out to kind of C-levels and people on the business side, is 90% have seen an increase in productivity from employing AWS certified staff. And then 96% say that supporting AWS certification improves retention. So really critical areas, not just to technology or IT, but actually to business, is employee retention and productivity. And by investing in training, we've seen the results, and customers are telling us that's where they're seeing the results. So what are the options for you when it comes to training certification? Well, the most popular, certainly for the SMB customers that I work with, is around the digital training. It's free, it's on demand, it's all available. We have all the documentation, the videos for the particular areas that you want to upskill in on our website. So I would absolutely recommend anyone, as a first point of call, is to check out our digital training. And we've created a landing page for you guys today, which I'll touch on later, which has everything there that you can get started on AWS. We also do classroom training for a more hands-on approach. I believe we have some free tech essentials and cloud practitioner training coming up soon, which will be done virtual. But we can do more hands-on training as well. Typically, it will be in a face-to-face environment, but not at the moment. It's all been done virtual. One of the areas, and it's probably something that, especially if you're in IT, or not even if you're in IT, because I've done them myself, is the AWS certifications. So the AWS certifications, so I'm talking about the AWS Developer Associate, the AWS Solutions Architect Associate. These are highly regarded in the industry. They are ways that customers can upskill rapidly in the cloud and actually have recognition for what they've done. And this is something that we're starting to see ramp up, not just in some of the enterprises, but in customers and startups. Individuals are getting certified in AWS, and there's numerous research out there that shows the value of these certifications in terms of employability. And that's something that I would highly recommend someone to do. Again, I'm not a technical person, but I've done the Cloud Practitioner and the Solutions Architect Associate. So, if I could do it, everyone can, whether you're in IT or not, but it's a really good place to start. And then educational programs as well. So we've got a number of different programs to help upskill kind of university graduates or people who've not gone to university. We're starting to work around some of the programs we have to bring them into the workforce and enable employers to employ cloud certified people. And then also not only employing cloud certified people, but actually upskilling their own team as well. So AWS is pretty big behind the scenes in terms of our teams. So yes, we have support teams, we have account managers, but actually it's very much an Amazon One approach in terms of the resources that we have internally. Whether it's your training and certification, which I've just touched on now, or for many customers, it's actually around our AWS partners. So again, we have thousands of UK AWS certified partners, which can allow you to they can engage with you and help you with best practice on the cloud and getting started. They can also do hands-on work. So the partner can come in and actually help you with that cloud migration or help you build a new product or innovation that you're looking at doing. And they can actually, one of the benefits that I hear from customers is that they said by using an AWS partner, they're actually able to upskill their own team in the process. So they'll use the partner in the short term to get them up and running, and then they'll spin the partner out once their team is at a place where they feel that they can move forward themselves. Another concept which I think if you're a small business might be applicable is AWS IQ. So kind of similar to our partner structure, but essentially it's a platform where you can log on and you can get access to AWS certified individuals, and you can essentially spin them in to complete a project or help you out on a short term or a long term. You can go and find those AWS consultants in minutes. And then for anything with regards to setting up accounts and billing, and trying to get some support there, we do have our AWS support. We have business support as well, which gives you 24/7 access to our cloud engineers remotely as well. And I think it comes up to 10% of your bill. So really, really good value for money. And then for those larger enterprises that really want to invest heavily in the cloud and who have large data centers and they've got a number of aging IT infrastructure, we have our AWS professional services team, which is essentially our in-house consultancy team as well, which might be a good fit for some customers, but not for everyone. The main point being here on this slide is we've got programs. We've got a number of programs, no matter what size of business you are, no matter where you're at, we have programs that can help, both commercially, technically, to give you the support to migrate to the cloud or even build in the cloud right from the start. Whether that's training, whether it's we have specific startup programs as well, or maybe you want to become a partner of AWS. Maybe you're a company that you think you have the cloud skills and that you can help other companies. We have a partner channel program where you can sign up in minutes and you can work your way through the tiers to become an AWS partner. Or maybe you build software and you create software. We've got a really awesome AWS marketplace where you can actually go on and sell your software on our marketplace to a global audience. And then if you're an SME or you're an enterprise, maybe you want to avail of our MAP program, which is our migration acceleration program, in which we help you all around the migration readiness assessment to make sure you're ready to go to cloud. We can also provide funding. There's a number of different initiatives there that we can provide as well. So I know I shared this slide already, but I'm going to just finish on this slide. And it's just really to give you a flavor of the many different industries that we're touching on in the UK in particular as well, and some of the kind of well-known brands that you may not realize use AWS. And the key point I want to call out here is it doesn't matter what size of business you are, AWS has democratized IT. So we put IT resource in the hands of everyone. So it doesn't matter whether you're ITV or whether you're a small business of 30 people or 20 people or 10 people, you have exactly the same IT resource at your beckon than anyone else. It just really depends on how quick you scale or how much you want to use. So yeah, I've got a video here as well. Just before that, in terms of next steps, I touched on it before. We've created a landing page specifically for the Bristol Technology Festival, and I've taken a screen clipping of it today, but you can go and visit the link that's provided. I know my great colleagues might be able to share it in the chat link, but it's a really awesome way to get started. Gives you resources, give you training, documentation, just to get you started as a next step. So I'd recommend that. I've also got a video which we just released, I think it was this week actually in the UK, and it's called AWS Curiosity Kid. Now, I don't think the video is going to play as well today, but I might get my team to share the link in the chat. It's only 30 seconds, but it's quite a cool ad, and you expect to see it on some of your screens over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, and with that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your time and for listening. And I think we're going to move to Q&A now. So I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone has, and appreciate your time. Just trying to have a look at the chat just to see if we've got any questions coming in. Okay, so I think we've got a question around, does AWS provide free monthly usage for all products like GCP? Okay, yeah, so we do have a free tier. So we have all the thresholds. I might see if some of my colleagues can just share just some of the details on the AWS free tier. So we do have a free tier where you can essentially go and build for free, and there's different limits depending on the products that you're using. And then once you go above that threshold, then you start paying as well. And we have all our pricing. We're fully transparent with our pricing as well online. So just really depends on what you're using, how much you're using. But yeah, I'd advise you to check out the free tier as well. I'd also advise you, if you're interested, on that link that we've provided, if you scroll down to the end, there's a contact us section. So if you do have a project and you are looking to build on AWS, then one of our reps can give you a call when you hit the contact us button, and you can talk about kind of what's available from a support perspective from AWS, or what them programs that I discussed, what they mean for you from that regard. So that's what I would recommend for that question. Just checking the chat as well, to see if we've got any more. Okay, I've just got another question. So I'm a small organization with limited internal IT resource. What next steps would you recommend? Okay, so this is a question I get quite a lot, particularly when I'm working with small businesses. So again, there's a couple of areas. There's, as I mentioned before, there's training and certification. So you know that there's options. You can upskill yourselves by investing in that training. Alternatively, you can look at our AWS partners as well, where they can actually come in and help you with that skills gap, and give you kind of an extension of your team as well. And then we've got an abundance of training and certification collateral online on our digital platforms, which are really, really easy to consume. They start right from the basics right up into the more complex stuff. It really just depends on where you're at and what you want to do. So there's probably two options. You can upskill your team yourself, or you can engage one of our partners to help you bridge that gap as well, and leverage some of their knowledge to accelerate things quicker. Or AWS IQ as well, which is a really awesome service that we've launched, where you can actually pinpoint a AWS consultant you can see their full experience and resume from some of the other projects they've worked on, and you can essentially work directly with that person to come in, and you can provide the remit of work of what you want them to deliver, and they can essentially come in and deliver it for you. So that would probably be the best place to start. But there's no harm in actually going into training and certification, even if you're just looking to upskill. I've done it myself, and it's really, really interesting. Even if you're not particularly a techie, you can get up to speed with it really, really quickly on the AWS website, on our training platform. Okay, I think we are going to end it there. Again, I'd just like to say a big thank you to everyone who's joined. and the organisers as well, and all the team behind it. It's been fantastic to take some time out a day to share with you how we're working with other customers, and hopefully we can maybe have got some more of you guys to think about AWS, and we're looking forward to working with you in the future if you decide to come forward. And even if not, I'm hopefully the presentation was insightful. And yeah, if you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to the organisers. But I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much.